In this video, I'm going to show you how to subtract a positive number from a smaller number. First example here is to compute 1 minus 3. And this might be a little tough to think about at first because 3 is bigger than 1. So if you take away 3 from 1, what do you get? Well, clearly we'll be going into the negative numbers, but it's easiest to visualize this with a number line. So let's go ahead and draw a number line here. So first just get our straight edge and draw a line just straight across. And then we'll go ahead, put some line arrows on it and make a bunch of tick marks here. And the way we label the tick marks, since we're going to be wanting to go in the negative direction, we're subtracting 3, we'll be going to the left. So we want to leave ourselves enough room to do that. So our starting number 1, the first number, that should go somewhere on the right. So why don't we label this one as 1? So that tick mark can be 1. Then we've got 2 to the right, and then count down 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. Okay, so now that we've got our number line, it's time to actually compute this result. So starting at 1, the first number, that's our starting point. So let's put a dot there, and then we want to subtract 3. So we want to move 3 units in the negative direction. How we can do that, how we can subtract 3 is we can make 3 unit jumps in the negative direction. So count, here's 1 jump, 2 jumps, 3 jumps. That way this whole jump, put all the jumps together, and you get a whole jump of negative 3. And then we just need to see where did we land? Well, we landed right there, and that corresponds to negative 2. So there we have it. The result is negative 2. You start at 1, subtract 3, or go 3 units to the left, and you end up at negative 2. Alright, so for the next example, 0 minus 4, we're going to take a similar approach. Let's just draw another number line to start with. So get our straight edge, draw the line, put the arrows on, make some tick marks, and we'll want to put the first number is 0 here, so we want to put that on the right of the number line so that we have room to jump left. So why don't we put it right over here, 0, then after 0 to the right is 1, and then we'll just count down this way. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8. And we need to see where are we starting. Well, we're starting at right here at 0. That's where we're starting. And then we're subtracting 4. So 0 minus 4. So we want to make 4 jumps in the negative direction, 4 unit jumps in the negative direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That way all of these jumps together makes a single jump of minus 4, 4 in the negative direction. And then where did we land? Well, we landed right over here. And what number is there? Well, it's negative 4. So therefore, 0 minus 4 is negative 4. Last one is negative 2 minus 5. Same approach as usual. Draw a number line. So let's go ahead and draw that out. Make some tick marks. And then we're going to want to start on the right with our first number. First number is negative 2, so let's put negative 2 over here. So it'll be negative 1, and then counting down from there, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9, negative 10. Okay, and where are we starting? We're starting at negative 2, so put a dot there. How many jumps are we making? We're making 5 jumps in the negative direction. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a single jump of negative 5 if you put all them together. And then where did we land? We landed at right here, which is negative 7. So negative 2 minus 5 is just negative 7. Alright, so let's step up the difficulty a bit. Now we're working with fractions. First off, I want to compute 3 halves minus 5 halves. And remember, with fractions, you can add and subtract the numerators provided that the denominators are the same. In this case, they are the same. They're both 2. So we can just go ahead and subtract the numerators straight across. So let's write that down here. 3 halves minus 5 halves equals, because the denominators are the same, the whole denominator becomes 2, and then we can just subtract the numerators straight across. so 3 minus 5. So now the problem really just reduces to figuring out what is 3 minus 5. To do that, we can just use our number line method. So draw a number line here. We'll draw it here, and then we'll go ahead and make the tick marks. And then we want to start with the number 3, so we should put the tick mark 3 somewhere on the right hand side here. So about 3 here, so 4 here, then just count down, 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. And now we can go ahead and do the subtraction. So starting with 3 here, let's put a dot on 3, and then we're moving to the left, we're making 5 jumps in the negative direction to make a full jump of -5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unit jumps makes that full jump of -5. And where do we end up? Well, we end up right over here, which is at -2. So 3 minus 5 equals -2. And remember, that's still over 2 because there's that denominator there that was before. So we just need to simplify this a bit. Why don't we go ahead and bring that down over here. So -2 over 2. We can just pull out that negative sign over the entire fraction. Then what's 2 divided by 2? It's 2 over 2. Well, 2 over 2 is just 1. So keep that negative sign, and 2 over 2 is just 1. So -1. That's our result then. Great. Okay, so next we want to compute -1/3 minus 5/6. Last time was easy because both of the fractions had the same denominator, so we could just subtract the numerators right across. This time though, they have different denominators. This denominator is 3, that denominator is 6. So before we even get started with subtraction, before we even subtract the numerators, we're going to have to change the fractions into equivalent fractions with the same denominator. So why don't we write this down once more, -1/3, then minus 5/6. And then looking at the denominators here, looking at the denominators of 3 and of 6, what is a common denominator for 3 and 6? What number are 3 and 6 both factors of? Well, the easiest one that jumps out is 6. 3 is a factor of 6, so we can just change this fraction to have a denominator of 6. And how do we do that? Well, 3 times 2 makes 6. So we need to multiply by 2 on top and bottom of the fraction. So let's go ahead and do that. So how about times 2 over 2 for this fraction? And then we'll go ahead and simplify that. So on the numerator, this is -1 times 2 is just 2. And then on the denominator, 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, so -1/3 is now -2/6. And then minus 5 over 6. All right, and now since they have the same denominator here, we can just go ahead and subtract right across. So -2 minus 5 over 6. So now it just remains to do -2 minus 5, and to do that we can get our straight edge and construct a number line. So make our number line here, put some tick marks on it, and put our first number, -2, somewhere on the right. So how about over here? So -2, count upward, -1, count backward, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, -10. And we'll just draw this up. So first number is -2, so we'll put a dot there. And how many jumps are we making? Well, we have to go back -5. We have to subtract 5, so that's 5 unit jumps in the negative direction. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so this is a whole jump of -5. And then where do we end up? Well, we end up right over here at -7. So this becomes -7, and keep the same denominator, over 6. So -7 over 6, that is our result. -1/3 minus 5/6 is equal to -7 over 6. All right, now we want to compute -2/3 minus 1/4, and that's going to be a similar procedure. Again, we have different denominators, so before we even get into the subtraction and number line, let's convert these two fractions to have the same denominator. So write it down again, 2/3, and then minus 1/4. Okay, so looking at the denominators of 3 and 4, what is a common multiple of 3 and 4? Well, 3 definitely isn't a factor of 4, so we can't just use one of these numbers anymore. Why don't we just multiply them together? 3 times 4 makes 12. That'll always give us a common multiple. Okay, so we want to turn both of these fractions to have denominators of 12. And how do we do that? Well, this first fraction, we can just multiply top and bottom by 4. So times 4 over 4, because that 3 times 4 on the bottom will give us 12. And then this other fraction, we can multiply by 3. That is 3 over 3. Keep the fraction the same, but make the denominator 12. And what is the result? Well, this first fraction becomes negative of 2 times 4 on top, so negative of 8 over, and then 3 times 4 on the bottom, negative of 8 over 12, and then minus, on the top, we have 1 times 3, so 3 over, and then on the bottom, 4 times 3, 12, good, just like we wanted. And so combine this together, it'll have a denominator of 12, and now we just subtract the numerator, so negative 8 minus 3, and this is what we need to compute then. So let's draw our number line here. Make our number line and make our tick marks, and then put our first number on there. Put negative 8 over here on the right to leave us some room. Negative 8 goes to negative 7 as we increase, then as we decrease, negative 9, negative 10, negative 11, negative 12, negative 13, negative 14, and we want to start at negative 8 here. That's our starting point, so put a dot there. And then we want to subtract 3, so make 3 unit jumps in the negative direction. 1, 2, 3. So this is just a big jump of negative 3. And then where do we end? We end right over here. The number there is negative 11. So this is equal to negative 11 over 12. All right, so that's our result. Negative 11 over 12, or just negative 11 twelfths. Here's our final pair of examples. First of all, we want to compute 1 minus 3.5. All right, so 1 minus 3.5. Why don't we go ahead and start with our number line? This is just a straightforward subtraction problem, it seems like. So let's draw a number line, and we're starting with the first number, 1. So we'll make some tick marks and label with 1 closer to the right-hand side to give us some room to jump. So 1, 2, then count backwards. 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7. All right, so starting with number 1 over here, put a dot there, and then we're jumping 3.5 to the left. 3.5. We know how to jump 3, we know how to jump 4. How do we jump 3.5? Well, the key to doing that is not to worry about the 0.5 at first. Just look at the 3 to begin with. So let's jump 3 units to the left. 1, 2, 3. So this, from here to here, is a jump of negative 3 units. And now let's worry about the 0.5. So we still need to jump 0.5 units to the left. So how do we do that? Well, 0.5 is just a half, so we just need to jump another 0.5 units this way. So right over here. So that's minus 0.5. And then if you put this big jump together with that smaller jump, you get negative 3.5 like we wanted. Okay, so this is where we're ending, right over here. And okay, so how do we tell what number that is? Well, where we ended after the initial big jump of negative 3, that was just here at negative 2. So really what we need to do is take negative 2 and then subtract another 0.5. So go backwards another 0.5. So that number then is just going to be negative 2.5. So there we go. That's our result, negative 2.5. All right, the next one, compute negative 2 minus 4.1. Decimals again, and our approach is going to be the same. Start out with our number line here, put some tick marks, and we're starting at -2, so write that on the right hand side. Then fill in the rest of the number line, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, and now we're ready to go ahead and draw on it. So starting at -2, that's right over here, and then we have to jump backwards by 4.1 units. So let's just worry about the -4 to start with. So jump backwards 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a big jump of -4 here. And then after that, we have to jump backwards 0.1 of a unit. All right, so do that, jump right over here. That's -0.1. And where do we end? Well, we end right there. And what's that point? Well, it's -6 and then -0.1. So go backwards 0.1 more and you get to -6.1. So there you go. That's the answer. -2 minus 4.1 equals -6.1. Great, so now we know how to subtract a positive number from a smaller number. And in the future, we'll also learn how to add a positive number to a negative number.